What if I told you that the reason why you can't stick to things has nothing to do with discipline? What if I told you that it has nothing to do with willpower either? What if I told you that it's not because you're lazy or inconsistent, and it's definitely not because you're just not the type of person who can stick to things? What if the real problem was actually invisible? Because listen, for years I really thought something was actually wrong with me. Your girl that set up to-do list like she was planning a whole ass military mission, okay? I tell myself to wake up earlier, stop procrastinating, eat better, study more. I promise myself I change all the time. And you know what? It actually worked. Well, for a few days. For a few days, I do great. Scratch that. I do amazing. Then suddenly, oops, I'd sleep, miss one day, then two, and before I knew it, I'd be back to being Loomis can never stick to anything all over again. And of course, the same old story would start playing in my head again. See, you always mess things up. And the worst part is, I believed it every single time. It's like one tiny slip, and all the progress I made will be erased. One missed day, and suddenly I'd be spiraling like, wow, look at you. Back at square one again, huh? And honestly, it gets exhausting. Not just the same bad habits, but the shame that came with having to break them all over again. Because deep down, I kept thinking, if I really wanted to change, wouldn't I have changed by now? I mean, why does everyone else seems to get it except me? But then I read Atomic Habits by James Clear, and one line hit me so hard it felt like someone had been watching me my whole entire life. It went like, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. And everything made sense. It wasn't that I was broken or that I lacked discipline, it was that I was trying to change my life with motivation when what I really needed all along was a system that wouldn't fall in complete shambles the moment life got stressful, a system that didn't depend on me waking up in the perfect mood, a system that made good habit easier and bad habit harder. And then the rest clicked to me. All this time I thought I lacked discipline or just wasn't consistent enough. Yeah, no. Turns out I was just trying to build a whole new life on top of habits that were just never designed to support it. And if you've ever felt like you keep slipping back over and over again, like you're stuck in the same loop indefinitely, if you've ever felt like you're the problem, well, let me tell you, you're not. Your system is. And once you understand that, and once you understand how habits actually work, trust me, you'll never stick to a bad one again. So, here's the thing. Them little habits, they're sneaky. They aren't just things you do, they compound. And whether you pay attention or not, they slowly, quietly shape your existence. And trust me, they will build your whole entire life for you. James Clear says it straight up. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Let's unpack that for a second. One tiny choice today doesn't feel like much, I know. One skip workout, that extra hour on the phone, but do that day after day, week after week, month after month, and that's where the magic or the disaster happens. Because suddenly it turns out those tiny habits aren't quite as harmless as you think they are. And you realize that just like your money, they grow with repetition. It's not just theory too. Most people think their life is shaped by huge decisions, but Atomic Habits quite literally argues the opposite. Success is the product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformation. Meaning, while you're out here thinking you need some epic, life changing moment to finally get it together, James is literally telling you success isn't in the fireworks, it's in the boring stuff, okay? Them habits that show up for you day after day, even when you don't feel like it. The success is in brushing your teeth, it's in making your bed every morning, it's in cleaning your room. Shout out to Jordan Peterson, by the way. It's in showing up for your goals, even a tiny little bit, day after day, even when you don't feel like it. That's the real power. And honestly, that realization was both depressing and freeing for me. Depressing because wow, okay, I really did build my own mess. But freeing because if my own habits got me stuck, my own small habit could get me out. And I got you all on how to get yourself out. But first, let's talk about the real reason why you can't break bad habits. Alright, here's where things get a little uncomfortable, but in a good way, don't worry. It's not just that you're undisciplined, it's not just that you're lazy, it's not just that you're just not the type of person who can stick to things, it's that every single thing you do, every choice, every action is actually voting for the type of person you are. James Clear says it straight up. Every action you take is a vote for the person you wish to become. Like, think about that for a second. Every time you doom scroll on your phone, instead of doing the thing you're supposed to do, that's a vote. Every time you actually show up, even for 5 minutes, okay, to do the thing you said you do, yep, that's a vote too. And here's the kicker. You don't even notice it happening. Okay, let me tell you a little story. I remember this one day, alright? I promised to myself I'd study for at least 2 hours because I had an exam the next day at literally 8 a.m. So I knew I wouldn't be able to study any other time, okay? beside the one that's scheduled. Keyword here, schedule. And it was literally like 6 p.m. at the time. So I had the time. Anyway, so I started myself off with a nice meal, of course, because duh, I need food in my belly to study, like common sense, okay? Anyways, by 6 p.m. 20, I was done with eating my meal, okay? And I think around the time, Nicki Minaj, I just dropped a new album. So I told myself, what will a tiny bit of entertainment do before I truly focus, you know? Like, I'm gonna do it either way. My ass will enjoy myself, you know? So I went down the whole rabbit hole of checking each and every single song of the new album. And I checked all the comments on Twitter of each track. And I watched myself a few reactions video. And before I knew it, another hour and 20 minutes and 30 minutes, I'm pretty sure, I'd gone down the drain. But hold up, I'm not done. During my little doom scrolling session on Twitter, I came across a movie recommendation. And you know, they used to say it was best to be watched at night. And when were we at night? So what did my last functioning fried brain set that were already wired for the constant dopamine rush of entertainment had me do? Put on the movie. That was a 3 hour movie, by the way. So guess who failed at the exam the next day? Then, of course, the guilt started creeping in, then the spiraling, and by the end of the day, I was lying in my bed, facing the ceiling, telling myself, wow, never mind, I can never do shit. All because of one tiny vote I didn't cast in my favor. One little no to myself compounded into a full identity verdict in my head, which literally affected me for the rest of that semester. And the good news is, it works the other way too. One tiny habit done right, even something small like making your bed or doing your laundry or brushing your teeth for the day, it stacks up. And suddenly you're not just doing the habit, you're telling your brain, this is who I am. And that's what James Clear also says. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when an habit become part of your identity. Because all the motivations acts, all the pep talks, all the lists in the world won't work if your identity isn't backing them up, which is exactly the real reason why you keep slipping up. It's not that you fail, it's that your habit haven't yet told you the story you actually want to live. That's the part nobody tells you. You're not actually fighting the habit, you're fighting the identity attached to the habit. Personally, that quote explained everything for me. It explained why I could be perfect the first 3 days and literally crash out the fourth. It explained why I sometimes sabotage myself the moment things started going really well. It explained why I kept slipping back into the same patterns, even when I knew in my heart I genuinely wanted to change. My habits weren't the problem, my identity was. I was trying to act like future me while still believing I was old me. And trust me, those two versions of you will fight, okay? And that's the real reason why you can't break bad habits. Because habits follow identity, not the other way around. Okay, so now that we've dragged our updated identities a little bit, let's actually talk about how bad habits are even formed in the first place. Because trust me, it's not as mysterious as it feels. James Clear hit us with this line. The first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It's the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. And when I tell you, this quote read me for feel because that's literally what happens every single time we mess up. But hold up, before I get ahead of myself, let me explain that quote for y'all. Here's the truth Atomic Habits makes painfully clear. The mistake isn't the problem, it's the meaning we attach to it. Because you skip one day at the gym, fine. Then your brain goes, well, since we've already messed up, my ass was skipped the next day. And a bit more time passes, and 3 weeks later, you're suddenly like, gym? Who is she? Or it's like you eat one cookie and your brain goes like, diet, never heard of her. And the commonality between both of those things is that they feel good. So the thing is, when you mess up, your brain starts craving comfort, not growth. And what gives instant comfort? The same bad habits you're trying to escape. It's not because you're weak, it's not because you lack self-control, it's because they're rewarded. The bad habits are rewarded. And here's the other parts nobody tells you. Bad habits feel cheap in the moment. Scrolling, eating junk food, procrastinating, all that crap. It's all free, right? But that's because you're paying with future currency. That's literally what this line from the book means. The cost of your good habits are in the present. The cost of your bad habits are in the future. Heard that? I'm gonna say that again for y'all. The cost of your good habits are in the present. The cost of your bad habits are in the future. Good habits, they annoy you right now. They require effort. They feel uncomfortable now. That delay gratification, painful, Bad habits, oh, they're fun, they're easy, they're comfortable, they're comforting. They give you that tiny dopamine hit immediately, and your brain loves immediately, okay? And James Clear even breaks it down clearly in the book. Every habit follows the same loop. It goes like cue, craving, response, reward. Meaning bad habits stick because the reward comes instantly. Good habits stick because the reward comes eventually. But there's always a reward. And once again, guess which one your brains prefer? Exactly. So when you mess up, it's not because you're weak. It's because your brain is literally wired to choose whatever gives you the fastest reward over and over again, even if it screws you over later, okay? And that's how bad habits are formed. Not from one choice, but from the story you tell yourself after that one choice, okay? Phew. Okay, deep breath, guys. Now that we've covered how habits run your life, that identities drive habits, and how bad habits are even formed in the first place, here's the part you've all been waiting for. How do you actually break those bad habits without losing your mind? Because James Clear doesn't just tell you you're stuck, he literally gives you a blueprint on how to get unstuck. And the wildest part is it's stupidly simple. Like, why did nobody teach us this in school? Simple. It gives you this system. It's called the four laws of behavior change. And every single habit, good or bad, follows the same four laws. If you want to build an habit, you follow the laws. If you want to break one, you invert them. So let's break it down. Starting with one, make it obvious. Because let's be real for a second. You can't change an habit if you aren't even aware it exists. Direct quote from James right there. And this one is where most people already fail. Because bad habits don't usually feel like bad habits. They feel automatic. They feel invisible, normal. You don't proclaim, I am now choosing to procrastinate. You say, I'll just check my phone real quick. You say, I'm tired. Let me just take a break real quick. And somewhere, somehow, you blink and suddenly you're on video 47 of a cat doing parkour. Which, by the way, nothing wrong with taking a break from time to time. Come on, y'all know which type of break I'm talking about. Like, let's not be like that. Before I see the comments being like, oh, she's anti-breaks and stuff. No, I'm not anti-breaks. I'm anti-procrastinating. Anyways, that's the trap. James Clear explained that the first step to breaking an habit is literally just that awareness. Like literally just noticing what you're doing. For me personally, the turning point was realizing that my problem wasn't lack of focus. It was that I was literally just being triggered constantly by the same tool every single day all the time. The pattern went something like phone on my bed, scroll, laptop open, YouTube, kitchen light on, a little snack right there, boredom, dopamine hunt, a single notification, and my brain was literally sprinting like it was the Olympics. Like, I mean, you get it. It was just the constant temptations around me. And the worst part is, I didn't even realize it was happening. Anyway, so first thing first, if the cue is everywhere, then the habit is inevitable. Honestly, James for that suggests something called a habit scorecard, which is basically just writing down every single one of your daily habits and labeling them as positive, negative, or neutral. And when I did that, your girl was shook, okay? I realized that half my day was literally just me reacting to cues like a freaking lab rat. And that was dead as the point of the whole exercise, because once the habits become visible, it loses its power. You can't unknow what you now see. But after making the habit itself visible, you now gotta make the cue invisible. James suggests that small things like putting your phone in another room, or I don't know, deleting an app, turning off notification. He says it goes a long way because at the end of the day your environment will always be stronger than your motivation, uh, honestly. So change your environment so that the habit doesn't get triggered, basically. Next up, make it attractive. The more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become habit forming. That was a quote from James. Let's be honest. Bad habits aren't hard to break because they're evil. They are hard to break because they feel good. Scrolling distracts you from anxiety. Junk food comforts you. Procrastination protects you from failure. Good habits, dry, boring, annoying, yet nada, zero dopamine at all. The truth is that bad habits are actually serving you something. So if you try to break a bad habit by just saying, stop doing this, your brain is like, okay, but what do I get instead? This is where most people mess up. They remove the habit, but don't replace the reward. For that, James Clear talks about something called temptation bundling, meaning you pair something you should do with something you want to do. You make the good habit really, really sexy and attractive. Like, for example, you only listen to your favorite podcast, help me, while cleaning, or you only watch your comfort show after studying. Through that, you're not attempting to change your bad habit by forcing discipline. Instead, you're rewiring desire. Also, the second best way to break a very attractive bad habit is, well, make it unattractive. Like, let me give you a real example. Let me give you another story. There was a time your girl was literally addicted to Uber Eats, okay? I'm still working on that, by the way. But back then, like, it was really a problem. I was dead ass single-handedly keeping the company alive. Like, I was the main sponsor. And every night, to justify myself, I'd be like, I deserve it. I mean, for what? For breathing? Anyways, to break that bad habit, I tried the other side of the temptation bundling strategy by James. It's called reverse temptation bundling. So instead of making the good habit more attractive, you make the bad habit embarrassing, which is exactly what I did. So what I did, guys, was I added up how much I spent on Uber Eats in 1 month, and I put the picture of the number as my lock screen. And when I tell you guys, seeing that number every single day, all day long, I swear I aged 10 years. Suddenly, Uber Eats wasn't me treating myself. Like, I didn't deserve it anymore. It was like, girl, you're literally eating your savings. And in that way, the bad habit became unattractive. Another quick tip, if you want to stop scrolling at night, put a picture of your tired, eye bag having self as your lock screen. And tell me that won't humble you. Tell me. Anyways, bottom line is your brain follows the dopamine. So you have to make the bad habit feel like the wrong source of dopamine, basically. So, the third law of behavior change is make it easy. The most effective form of learning is practice, not planning. Quote from James right there. And when I tell you, that was humbling. Because tell me why a girl had 47 planners, color-coded schedules, Notion dashboards, and everything else under the sun, and I still wasn't doing crap. Meanwhile, James Clear is literally like, habits don't fail because of lack of motivation. They fail because they require too much effort. Meaning, girl, just make it easy. Because trust me, bad habits will stick because they're easy, and good habits won't stick because they're too hard. So breaking a bad habit literally equals making it harder to do. Okay, let me tell you something. Your brain is very lazy. Mine too, by the way. That's not an insult. That's literally human biology. So if a bad habit feels really hard, your brain will avoid it like the plague, okay? So if you know you're the type of person to stay up all night watching them TV shows or K-dramas, whatever, then us just unplug your TV at 5 p.m. and put that phone away on silent, away from your bed by 7, and see if that won't work. The flip point is that if a good habit feels really easy and feels really good, your brain will crave it. So for that, James introduces something called the 2 minute rule. It's basically starts so small it feels almost stupid. Like not with I'm going to work out for an hour, but with something like I'm just going to put on my gym shoes. Or not with I'm going to study all night. Let's start with something like I'm literally just going to open the Word document. And here's the gag. Once you start, momentum will literally usually carry you forward. That's when consistency will finally enter the chat. Even if it doesn't fully, you still won because you showed up. Duh. The whole point of that thing is that if your brain will always choose the path of least resistance, use it to your advantage. If you want to break any bad habit, you make it inconvenient, you add friction, add steps, make it annoying, make it require effort, okay? And if you want to build the good habit, you do the opposite. You make it really freaking sexy, easy, attractive, all the sauce, and you become addicted to it, okay? So if your bad habit is from one type of way, honestly, you're done. But if it's 10 steps away, you're like, never mind. So, the last point of the four laws of behavior change is 4. Make it satisfying. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. This is the part nobody prepares you for, okay? You don't just stop a bad habit, you outgrow it. Your brain needs closure, it needs proof, it needs a reward like now, not later. That's why your brain keeps choosing the wrong thing. So, to break a bad habit, you have to make it unsatisfying, period. For that, James Clear suggests something called immediate reinforcement, and it goes both ways, by the way. So let me tell you a little story once again. Once upon a time, your girl had a morning routine, okay, and she kept skipping it. I'm your girl, by the way. So to solve that problem, I tried a little something with my friend called accountability. I told my friend to check in with me every morning, and if I didn't do my routine, with proofs, I had to film every single step like of my routine. And if I didn't do my routine, I had to send her $20. Suddenly, my routine became very satisfying. Because losing money, oh, that's punishment. That's pain, especially for me, because I love money. And your brain is literally wired to avoid that kind of pain, like the ply, okay? An example on how this will work out if you flip the coin is by physically, literally marking your progress. By that, you're instantly rewarding yourself for showing up, and every day you succeed, you get that little hit of satisfaction. That's how you reward your good habit and solidify it in your brain. And the more you reinforce the new behavior, the less attractive the old behavior becomes, you know? And of course, the old habit won't immediately disappear because, like I said before, you have to outgrow it. But the craving will fade. And that's all you need to get started, to be honest. Which brings me to another quote of the book. You can break the bad habit, but you're unlikely to forget it. Meaning, the habit will always be there, waiting, lurking under the radar. But if you make the consequences painful enough, if your nervous system is doing what it's supposed to do, your brain will stop craving it. Your brain will stop choosing the bad habit. So the real takeaway is breaking bad habits isn't about becoming a new person overnight, okay? It's about designing a life where the habits you don't want simply do not stand a chance. You break an habit by reversing the four laws. You make it invisible, you make it unattractive, you make it hard, you make it unsatisfying, okay? And once you understand the system laid out in atomic habits, your brain will literally stop craving the bad habit. Not because you became stronger or because you're so much more that consistent, but because the habits stop making sense in your brain. That's when those bad habits stop controlling you and you start building a life that actually supports you. Which brings me to the next and final part, identity, the final shift. So, the real plot twist of atomic habits is this: you don't change your life by changing your habits first, you change your life by changing who you believe you are. James Clear says it best: the most effective way to change yourself is not to focus on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become. That's why nothing ever lasted for me back then. Meaning, you can build new habits on top of an outdated identity. Your brain will literally drag you back to the story you've been repeating for years now. Who you think you are basically runs the show, okay? If you believe you're not the type of person who works out, you will always find a reason not to go. Because your brain loves being right. It loves confirming the story it already believes. So even if you try to change, your identity will be like, "But girl, where you going? Sit down." And that's why you keep slipping back into the same patterns. So here's the identity loop you don't know about. Most people try to change like this: outcome, then process, then identity. It goes like, I want to be fit, so I'll work out, then I'll become a fit person. But James flips it. It's identity, then process, then outcome. The right loop here will be, I am a fit person, so I work out, and eventually I get the results. See the difference? One is trying to earn the identity. The other is simply acting like the person you already decided to be. James Clear breaks the whole process down into two types of identity statement. Two simple questions basically. It's like the first question is, who is the type of person who would achieve the result I want? The second question, what would that person do on a daily basis? And since I'm thorough at my job, I'm gonna try a few reverse engineering questions to finally enter the right loop. So first, instead of asking, how do I stop procrastinating? You ask, what is a focused person like? Or what would a focused person do right now? So instead of saying, how do I stop eating junk food? You ask, what is a healthy person like? And for the second question, what would a healthy person do right now? Or what would a healthy person choose right now? Another example, so instead of asking, how do I stop being inconsistent? You ask, What is a consistent person like? And for the second question, how would a consistent person behave in this situation? And every time you choose an answer, even in the smallest way, okay, you're casting a vote for that identity. One tiny vote, one tiny I showed up, and eventually the votes add up, they stack up, and those identity votes become your new normal, because identities don't change in one big decision, they change one vote at a time. So to end this video, if there's one thing I want y'all to walk away with, right, is that small habits don't add up, they compound, okay? And that's right there, that's the only thing, that's the whole point, that's the only thing I want y'all to walk away with, right? You don't change your life with one dramatic ass moment, you change it in the quiet, boring, almost invisible choices you make every single day. You change it by casting tiny votes for the identity you actually want to live in. And that one choice, one vote, one tiny habit at a time will become a system that actually works for you instead of against you, right? Personally, atomic habits didn't teach me how to be perfect. It taught me how to stop fighting myself, to be honest. It showed me that bad habits aren't who you are, they're just systems that stay too long, and systems can be redesigned. So if this video clicked for you guys or helped you in any way, like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. Also, the link to the book is in the description, guys, for those interested. Until next time, guys, make bad habits harder to live with than the life you actually want to live.